person comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you say this, I picture the many instances where you're driving down the streets or whatever, and you see that a crowd has formed around an individual, and somebody is saying, "Leta maji, hapana, toa nguo, no, ita daktari."
Yeah.
Fan the thing.
Yeah.
And we've all everybody's crowded around, and somebody say, "No, move." Is that one of the situations that we'll be talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Usually in these situations, either somebody has collapsed on the road or has been found unresponsive, and people, by default, you rush to the scene. Everybody's trying to help the best way they know how, and sometimes that can do more harm than good. But so in such a scenario, now we need to have a discussion on what is the most appropriate thing to do when something like that happens.
Yeah. Because emergencies do happen, and they will happen. As you say, maybe from an accident or just the body experiencing some shock, and depending on what the cause may be.
Yeah.
But in terms of appropriateness, in terms of response, which could determine now the next step, whether the person survives, or even when the person survives, sometimes the emergency response that was accorded may cause more harm. May leave you with a condition that perhaps if there was better management during the emergency, it would not have occurred. But what, generally speaking, unless somebody finds themselves into a hospital, they are the mercies of just a well-wisher.
Yeah.
Could be a nurse, could be a friend, could be somebody who has no medical know-how. But how is that to be managed, generally speaking, before we get to a hospital setup? When an emergency happens, you don't know whether it's an epileptic episode, maybe it's a road accident, it could be anything. But what are some of the key things to at least try and enforce or be mindful of?
So that's a good question, because statistically, majority of whether it's loss of life or grievous injury has already set in before someone gets to the hospital. So that pre-hospital care, that duration of time before they get to a functioning facility is critical and will determine the course of life. So when such an emergency happens, I think the primary message would be for the well-wishers not to try and cause more harm. So if you don't have the, technical know-how of how to manage an emergency, the best thing to do is to call for help. Okay. I know the emergency response toll-free lines that exist, 999 and 111. So you can dial that, or
anywhere across the country.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's also an app actually called Casualty app that is in Play Store, Apple Store, where you can download and you classify yourself. You say you're not a healthcare provider, but it has it will be able to triangulate your location and triangulate the nearest hospitals and ambulances that are within your reach. And there are also phone numbers available there. So that is what I would say, call for help. Because even as one person, you cannot, you can't work alone. Even in a hospital setting, doctors don't work alone. We have a